Hi, my name is Gretchen Tseng, and I'm really grateful to be here and to have the opportunity to share how Oliveda and the business opportunity there found me and why it's become such a big part of my life. But before I tell you about my story, I want to take you back to where I was before Olive Tree people entered my life. About a year away from becoming empty nesters, my husband and I sat down and had a big talk about what we hoped our next chapter would look like. At that point, I didn't actually know what my next step was going to be. I knew I was standing in a transition, but I didn't know what was on the other side of it because I had spent over 2 decades building a private practice, helping people who hadn't been helped by the conventional medical system. I loved that work deeply, and yet it can be exhausting, writing protocols at 11 p.m., worrying about your clients and their health, etc. So I knew I wanted to change. But before I truly knew what was next for me, I did something that felt terrifying, especially when I tell you that my natural way of being is very type A. I plan, I research, I like to know where I'm going before I take the next step. I offloaded all of my clients to other trusted practitioners and closed my one-on-one client offering, not because I had a plan, not because I knew where I was going, but because I prayed about what my next step was supposed to be, and I knew that creating space was part of the answer. I didn't know where I'd land, I just knew I wasn't meant to stay where I was. That leap mattered. And I share this because some of you listening tonight may feel like you're in between chapters too. Let's start with what matters most to me. I'm a mom to 2 kids in their 20s. I've been married to my husband for almost 27 years, and I have 2 dogs that I absolutely dote on. Those roles and those relationships come before anything else I do, because everything I've ever built professionally has always been in the service of my family and the life we want to live together. Professionally, I'm a functional nutritional therapy practitioner and the founder of FitQuest Nutrition, where prior to Oliveda, I spent over 22 years in private practice in the holistic health space. My work was always centered on people whose symptoms were dismissed or minimized and didn't know where to turn next. These were complicated cases and many living with autoimmune conditions and told by Western medicine that there wasn't much they could do beyond medication. I loved taking on those challenging clients and helping them find health again. Root cause investigation has always been my focus because that path is deeply personal to me. My life changed when I got really sick the summer after 5th grade, and it took until about my senior year of college for us to even begin to understand what was going on. Years of unanswered questions, years of being told by my HMO doctors that everything was fine when it clearly wasn't. It wasn't until later that we learned it all started with Lyme disease, and from there progressed into autoimmune conditions. First came the endometriosis and Hashimoto's, and then years after that, the celiac and lichen sclerosis. It wasn't one diagnosis, it came in layers. And that experience shaped everything I've done since. And that background is woven seamlessly into what I do today, leading a team, creating resources, and helping people with troubled skin find the right regimens and the right way to introduce those regimens. As I mentioned during my intro, in August of 2023, my husband and I were entering into a very different season of life. Our youngest was 1 year away from heading off to college, and we could feel that shift coming. I loved being a practitioner. Like I mentioned, I truly loved helping people, but it was still tied to appointment times, screens, very specific windows of availability, and even though I could technically do my job from anywhere in the world, I still had to do it in front of a computer and during particular hours. I wanted more flexibility. I wanted to keep educating, but I didn't want my life dictated by a calendar anymore. Throughout this life transition where my husband and I were trying to figure out what was next, what that next chapter would look like, my mentor, Jen, reached out to me about Oliveda multiple times. I think we figured out it must have been between 6 and 9 times. I never told her no. I always said, check back in with me or sounds interesting, but I just wasn't paying attention yet. I was busy with my practice and already working with other affiliate relationships, and I simply didn't have the bandwidth to learn another brand properly. From Jen, there was never any pressure, no guilt, no, you should be doing this. So I appreciated that she trusted timing and not persuasion, and I really appreciate that about her in general. I wished I'd listened earlier and done this sooner, but things have worked out beautifully exactly as they were supposed to. Eventually, my husband and I were driving to Park City. We'd planned that drive as time together, but at the last minute, he needed to spend most of the 5 hours working, so I climbed into the back seat. And I finally watched the 5-minute video Jen had sent me of Thomas talking about Oliveda. At that moment, I wasn't actually thinking about a business. I was thinking about my skin, Over the prior year, largely due to perimenopause, my skin had changed quickly. It was drying out, aging faster than I was comfortable with, and it didn't feel like my skin anymore. I was committed to aging holistically because for me personally, who is now 50 years old, that means no injectables and aging as gracefully as possible. Absolutely no judgment for those who choose a different path. This is simply the path that resonates with me. And as a practitioner, I was already familiar with olive leaf extract. I'd used it clinically for years with clients and understood its potency. I also understood the importance of organic products that weren't endocrine disrupting, especially for women navigating hormonal shifts and teens. I think it is really, really, really important that we teach our kids about this early and minimize their toxic exposure. I had spent decades looking at how small, repeated exposures add up over time, and I saw those exposures and toxicities in lab work I did for my clients. Ingredients matter, delivery matters, and what you put on your skin matters just as much as what you put in your body. What was new to me was the concept of waterless beauty. Replacing water with one of the most potent antioxidants available made a lot of sense to me immediately, not just philosophically, but biochemically. So I joined purely to try the skincare properly and to get the 25% discount. I'm all about a discount. Those were my intentions. But looking back, I think subconsciously watching that 5-minute video of Thomas is when it first clicked as a business possibility. I knew I needed proof, though, that the products were all that they were built up to be. I needed to see the products work, and my followers know I will always be honest with them about that. I've built that trust over years. I also knew I'd take everyone along with me and document the process honestly. The before and afters I saw were genuinely exciting, not filtered hype or one-off results, but consistent changes that made me think, this is worth paying attention to. So right there in the car on that road trip, I made a very clear decision. If I was going to evaluate this properly, I needed to remove all the noise. At the time, I already had established affiliate relationships with other non-toxic skincare brands. I made the decision to put all of my other skincare away for 30 days and use Oliveda exclusively. I wanted to see what would happen without interference, and I didn't wait to talk about it. I posted that decision immediately from the car and told my followers I'd take them along for the journey in real time. This wasn't selling, this was an experiment. Not long after joining, a large influencer publicly stated that no one with acne should ever use Oliveda products. And I honestly didn't know if she was right or wrong. I needed to know for myself because I am extremely acne prone. So I buckled down for a weekend and researched every ingredient and every product on the website. I looked at the comedogenic data, formulation context, and how ingredients behave together. And I ranked those products and created the resource I wanted to have as a practitioner. That comedogenic rating document exists because I needed clarity. And what surprised me was what happened next. That effort brought a steady stream of customers my way and continues to bring new consultants to my team. Not because I was recruiting, but because people could feel the depth of understanding behind it. Learning the products backwards and forwards so I could be a resource for my team and customers, and specializing in acne-prone skin continues to bring people to me. This may surprise you, I don't like sales. I want to pause here because I think this really matters. I don't like sales. I don't like pressure. I don't like convincing. I don't like feeling responsible for someone else's decision. Instead, I lean into education and honest opinions and let go of the outcome. When people understand, they decide for themselves. Now, I want to go into why this company was different than others I'd worked with. As I started paying closer attention, it became clear that this wasn't just another skincare brand. First, Oliveda is waterless across its product lines. That matters because water is not inert. It often has preservatives, dilutes actives, and waterless beauty is fundamentally, in general, more concentrated, more intentional, and more effective. There is no direct competition doing this at scale across skincare, internals, and makeup. I want to say that again. There is no other company doing what we are doing. And then there's Olive Rose. This is the only waterless makeup line of its kind. You're not choosing between clean skincare and makeup that undermines it. It all works together. It's truly beauty from the inside out. Internals, skincare, makeup, and we haven't even gotten into our sound bath meditations. It's one ecosystem, and that level of alignment is rare. Plus, I want to mention, I put this makeup on at 9 a.m. in the morning, and 10 hours later, it still looks like this. That's absolutely insane to me. I don't have to blot it. I don't have to powder it. It just stays how it is. I'll put it on in the morning and I'll go out with my girlfriends or my husband at night, and I don't have to do any touch up, which is just absolutely insane to me. I want to go into something else that is really special about Oliveda. I want to mention our generous return policy because it makes it that much easier for us to sell the products when there is no pressure. Because if people don't like them, trust me, they will like them. They have 365 days to return them. This is also why I don't really send samples. People can order full-size products and sample them because of our generous return policy. And consultants have 60 days to return products, and that's plenty of time. We also have free shipping for every order $50 and above. Between that and the return policy, trying the products is a no-brainer. And we have new product lines launching this year. Our new pet line is that Maddie. You guys know I'm excited about that with my dog love. All of You, which is our new gummy supplement line. As a practitioner, I can tell you I am super excited about that because half of the battle with supplements is getting people to be compliant and actually take them. People love gummies. And we have HT protein, HT creatine launching this year. I know my menopause ladies with brain fog are excited about that, and all of us can benefit from the cognitive and muscle building benefits of both. Not to mention our global expansion. Last year we entered the Canadian market, and it has been so fun to watch the Canadian consultants on my team build and grow, and we just launched into Europe. When other companies out there are switching to the affiliate model, Thomas is doubling down and opening new markets for consultants, and we can now ship nearly worldwide for retail customers too. I also want to take a moment to talk about the compensation because this is another example of how my background really matters. Before Oliveda, I had over a decade of experience in affiliate marketing. I've worked and continue to work with many well-known respected brands in the health and wellness space. And to be very honest, some of those companies pay as little as 2% commission. Most fall in the 10 to 15% range. So when I looked at Oliveda's compensation structure, it immediately stood out. Retail commissions here range from 25 to 35%, which is already far more generous than what most affiliate models offer. And then if you choose to build, you can earn up to 9 levels deep and even earn profit sharing. That combination matters because it means you're not just rewarded for sharing products you love, you're also rewarded for mentoring, supporting, and helping others grow if that's the path you choose. And I absolutely love doing that for my downline. On top of that, there are several types of bonuses and a new legacy bonus that I am super excited about for my team. There's rank advancements and long-term incentives for people who decide to build intentionally. This is where opportunities like trips to Spain to see our olive groves. I was lucky enough to be able to experience this and got to bring my husband along. And there's also an upcoming trip to Africa to build water wells, magazine shoots with Time, Vogue, and Vanity Fair, and experiences such as New York Fashion Week come into play. Not as gimmicks, but as recognition for leadership, consistency, and contribution over time. The compensation plan is designed to meet people where they are and grow with them if they choose to grow. Let's just say that it is so generous that when I started building my team, my husband saw the deposits coming in and he took notice right away and asked me to tell him more about the company and what I was doing. I want to talk about something that people, I think, worry about. This is authenticity over imitation. People are most successful in this business when they work it in a way that's authentic to who they are. There isn't one right way to do this. For me, social media has been a big part of my journey. I've spent the past 10 years plus slowly and intentionally building an online presence, and that happens to be what works best for me. But most of the people on my team do not have large social media platforms. Some build primarily in person, some use a combination of in-person conversations and social media, some are very quiet online and incredibly effective offline. All of those approaches work. Just because you see someone succeed one way doesn't mean that's how you need to do it. Trying to copy someone else's style is usually what makes this feel hard or inauthentic, so just be yourself. There is a truth about building your business, and that is that this does not just happen. You do have to work for it, but how hard is up to you. Some people come in for the discount and stay there. Some people share casually, and some people decide to build intentionally. As someone with no experience in network marketing, that's me, I decided to give it my all with the goal of hitting Black Olive Star within my first year. That's a monthly volume of $175,000. I remember telling my husband that goal, and when he heard that criteria and what it was to hit it, he told me he thought it was impossible and that he didn't want me to be disappointed. For any of you that know me, this doubt lit a fire in me and fueled me, and I kind of think he knew it would. I treated it like a one-year project. Within 1 year, I hit Black Olive Star. And that same month, I double ranked to Executive Olive Star, not because I'm special, but because I committed, I showed up, and I did the work. Something else I want to get into is choosing your mentor and team wisely. I want to add one more layer of clarity here, especially since this is a company-wide opportunity call that I created this whole talk for. First, it's important to say this clearly. Oliveda as a company genuinely cares. They offer extremely generous Glow Workshop rewards, weekly product education, ongoing trainings, leadership calls, and systems designed to support everyone no matter who they're partnered with. That foundation is strong and it matters. On top of that company support, the team you join becomes an added layer. I completely understand joining a friend on their team because this is so much fun to work with people you love, and I encourage you to make sure, though, that their goals align with yours. Because while the company provides the structure and tools, teams can look and feel very different in how they support and how that shows up day to day. Some teams focus on consistently providing new resources and graphics. Some teams are very systems driven with step-by-step guidance and a lot of structure. Some teams are very community focused, built around connection and collaboration. Some leaders are very hands-on and directive. Others give more autonomy and expect people to take initiative. Some teams move fast and push growth aggressively, and others prioritize steady, long-term building. None of those are right or wrong. They're simply different. And regardless of the resources offered or the support a team may be giving, this still requires you to be a self-starter because this is not a job. This is you running your own business. You can be supported, mentored, educated, and encouraged, but no one can do the work for you. Just like my clients, I could write up the world's best protocol, and it's not going to work if they don't follow it and do the work. The people who tend to do best here are the ones willing to take initiative, ask questions, follow through, and stay consistent, even when no one is watching. Actually, especially when no one is watching. My hope is that this call gets you thinking, that you go back to the person who invited you here and ask thoughtful questions. What does support look like on this team? How do people learn and get help? What's expected if someone wants to build? How much independence is encouraged? Those conversations matter because when the company support is strong, the team culture fits who you are, and you're willing to take ownership of your effort, this becomes not only more effective, but far more sustainable and enjoyable over time. I'll leave you with this. If you're here watching this, I don't think it's by accident. Something about this opportunity resonated with you. Maybe it was the products, maybe it was the business model, maybe it was the idea of building something that fits your life instead of bending your life around it. But let me be clear, you don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need a huge following, you don't need prior experience, and you definitely don't need to look or sound like anyone else here. What you do need is curiosity, a willingness to learn, and the courage to take the next step, even if it doesn't all feel perfectly clear yet. This business has room for so many stories, including yours. Different personalities, different paths, different reasons for saying yes. So let that spark of wonder that brought you to this call lean into it. See what this can turn into for you when you commit to yourself. Because sometimes the biggest shifts begin with a small yes. A yes to curiosity, and I truly believe that this could be the beginning of something incredible for you. 2 more things I want to go over. I was asked the question, what support did you receive in your first week that helped you feel confident? I didn't know the products at first and was intimidated by how much there was to learn, yet I wanted to go live on Instagram and host Glow workshops virtually, so I leaned into my leaders, Jen Merzek and Danielle Hampton. Danielle went live with me for that very first Glow workshop because she had the product knowledge I didn't yet have. And I offer this to every consultant in my downline who doesn't yet feel confident. I'll happily go live with them. Jen was also available to answer any and all of my questions, and I wrote down the answers and kept them so that I could learn them and didn't have to re-ask them. And there were lots at first, and she also went live with me. She and I now partner and run our teams together as a duo, which is something I highly encourage people to do. Find a partner so that you do not feel like an island. The other question that I often get asked is, what would you say to someone who is interested but unsure if they're ready? Let me tell you, I've watched my husband, who is a brilliant businessman, dive into starting businesses and dive into industries that were completely new to him. And he has always ended up being super successful because he doesn't try to be perfect. He knows that everything is figure outable, and that one of the things that sets him apart is this, his willingness to jump straight in and try. Seeing that has given me the courage to do the same. I've seen it and watched it be a successful pursuit for decades. So when I first started my private practice, I was trying to have every single T crossed and I dotted, and every form and disclaimer that I could possibly ever need made ahead of time. And he helped me realize that all of that pre-work can be a waste of time because you may end up not using it at all. So I learned to tackle things as they came in. When I had a need for a form, I created it. And that helped me focus on the here and now and not spin my wheels. So just do it. Just jump in and figure it out along the way. If you are having any questions, please find me on Instagram at fitquest_nutrition. And like I said, if someone invited you to this call, go back to them and ask questions. This is one of the coolest, most collaborative companies I've ever worked with. We have leaders that have nothing to do with one another financially, and we share resources. We answer each other's questions. We go on and do team trainings for each other. It's unlike anything I could have ever imagined. We've all heard the reputation of network marketing, and this company hasn't fit that reputation, and I'm very glad about that. So that is why it's been such a pleasure to work with everyone. And between the amazing products, the amazing community and friendships that I've found here, and the cross collaboration, it's an absolute pleasure.